You are listening to Making It in the Toy Industry, episode number 161.
Welcome to Making It in the Toy Industry, a podcast for inventors and entrepreneurs like you. And now your host, Azhelle Wade.
Hey there, toy people. Azhelle Wade here, and welcome back to another episode of the Toy Coach podcast, Making It in the Toy Industry. This is a weekly podcast brought to you by thetoycoach.com. Our guest today is named Josh White, and he's created a line of real tools that are right-sized for kids. I'm excited to introduce Handy Famm to you, and it's described as an unboring way to perform home construction and decor jobs, from building repairs to hanging pictures and everything in between. Now, first I've got to introduce you to Josh. Josh White is an award-winning innovator with a proven track record of more than 2 decades helping brands find their secret sauce. Bringing a unique perspective that challenges the status quo of everything he touches, he combines effective strategy, brand positioning, product invention, toy creation, manufacturing, and packaging with innovative marketing strategies. Josh White has worked with some of the world's biggest brands, from Fortune 500 companies to startups, including Chobani, Maple Hill Organic, Local Bounty Night Food Ice Cream, Jordan, JetBlue, and served as the creative director for Starz Children TV animation division. The Handy Famm concept was sparked when Mr. White and his daughter noticed a lack of kid-focused hardware tools, and that's why this product caught my eye. Josh, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. I don't remember. I think I saw your product on LinkedIn, and I just thought it was cute. And honestly, that's the main reason why it caught my eye. And then when I looked into it, you sent me a sample. Thank you. Now I have 2 of my own. I love the way that you made the design functional, like the level of the bird's eye and then the tongue and the safety features. Like, I watched all your videos. I love it. I'm excited to hear your story of how you got into wanting to make a toyetic product. So glad to have you here.
Sure.
Okay, to start out, I've got to ask, what was your title full-time, or what is your title full-time on the side of Handy Famm?
So I actually run a creative agency called OffWhite, and we kind of bring brands to life, every strategic piece of it.
Yeah.
So research, positioning of the company, into the idea phase. So we help kind of visualize it, and the idea could be anything from, packaging innovation or product innovation or just even digital or brand innovation. And then we do that just with great design. My background is in design, and so everything's got to just look great. And then we take that and we bring that to manufacturing. And then after we get through that, we kind of bring it to market. So we kind of do that spectrum for others. And that's kind of what we do on a daily basis.
Did you ever work on toy products before? Was this like your first kind of foray in the toy industry?
My background started in traditional design, building brands, and I kind of got an interesting opportunity somewhere along the line to get into the movie industry.
Okay.
And I got to work with some really cool cats like Christopher Reeve, Superman, Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams. And sort of that kind of opened my mind up for storytelling. And specifically, I was focused on 3D animated properties. So what was really cool is that I took the knowledge of kind of branding and positioning and that kind of world, combined that with making stuff 3D in 3D like space digitally, and, talking items. And then fast forward from that, as the property started to need swag and the movies needed things, I started developing a pipeline in Asia and around the world to make things.
What?
So started doing plush toys and.
Well, hold on. So you were working in the animation side. Like, what stage of the animation?
It was from concept all the way to kind of movie making,
So you were coming in as
making
like
it all the way to the end, 3D animated stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I got an opportunity to actually work in the industry, like work at Starz and, lead some of the creative over there.
Wow. Okay. So then you're touching every aspect of 3D animation, but you thought, that's not enough. I want to touch every aspect of physical product also, and created a pipeline. Did you start, like, you built a team that was going to start sourcing and costing products? Like, you did all of that?
Yeah. So initially I just did it myself.
Okay.
I just kind of, I plot myself in foreign countries,
my
started to
gosh.
build relationships, this is before Alibaba or, things that
Yeah.
did it for you to some degree, and just kind of built relationships and spoke to people, went to shows, learned about, what a plush toy is, what is tooling, anything like that. And because I think innovatively and I challenge the way things are done, I started to get a kind of a name that I know how to do this thing. So I would do one thing and that would lead to the next thing. And sort of that kind of evolved itself in a very interesting way.
So, do you remember the first kids product that you did?
Yeah. So early on, I had an opportunity to make a difference in the airline industry.
Okay.
And the airline industry at the time, and probably even still till today, really didn't have, those in-flight carts. So there was really no like well-crafted items. There were like diamond rings and other jewelry, scarves you could buy in flight, and some really badly designed toy products. And so I saw an opportunity over there to really kind of dig in. And I created an item that was called Newbie Plane. And Newbie the Plane kind of was a prototype that I patented and made its way and got dressed up in, the colors of Singapore Airlines and Malaysia Airlines and American Airlines, and started
Newbie
developing
plane.
a whole kind of,
Is
started
it
kind of
still out
creating
there?
this whole world around it. No, not anymore. I think, that was a while ago.
I'm
So,
trying to get picked. I want to visualize this. That's why I'm like, what was this newbie plane?
yeah,
Give me a visual.
I can get you some photos.
I mean, tell me,
Yeah,
describe
I
it.
guess.
What was it?
Oh, it was a cute little character. It had its own little personality. It, had a whole world around him.
Uh-huh.
And he had friends like Hightower. It was his guiding light.
Of course,
And
yeah.
he had Tug that used to push him along the runway when he was feeling down. And,
Yeah.
so just kind of created this story about this character.
That is really cool. I mean, okay, I didn't realize what I was getting when I got the creator of Handy Famm. This is pretty cool. Wow, you had a whole story. So, did you consider yourself specifically a toy person at any point while you were going through this journey?
Yeah, I think, because of kind of where the trajectory of my life, I think I'm more of a disruptor of categories. I think that's a better way to frame it.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm constantly doing different things, and I'm involved in all types of products, and from coffee to whatever, name a thing, I've tried to experiment with it. And so I try to get like ideas coming to life, a solution oriented type of idea. And so that's how I would consider myself. And I think toy maker is in that because
Right.
I've done that.
It's part of that. So, I want to know now, what do you think is the most disruptive thing you've done to like 3D animation?
Oh, in 3D animation, I think it's not so much in the 3D animation,
Yeah.
but I was involved early on in motion capture, so I got to experiment with, putting little things on
Yeah.
people's body, and then kind of being the Cabbage Patch Kid, working with Xavier Roberts, the guy who signs all the butts of Cabbage Patch, and building a property around that. So just I think the usage of it
Right.
and innovation in the sense, not world changing, but innovation in the sense that it's impacted the people that I've been around or the consumers that I've played with.
And then in the toy space, I'm curious if there's something that pops into your mind when you think how you disrupted that space. Maybe it's the plane concept, the newbie plane, but I'm just curious, there's something that pops into your mind like, oh yeah, when we came out with that product, like people loved it.
Yeah, since I wasn't doing exactly that trajectory,
Yeah.
I think it was more, within corporations or more within the clients and the partners that we've been involved with, in specifically in the toy category. I've worked with like Michael Jordan on some cool things
Yeah.
that disrupted
Yeah.
things at the time, but yeah.
Well, now I want to know what the Michael Jordan project was. So I want to know how that was.
Can't tell you that.
Oh, you can't? It's a secret? Oh, okay.
Secrets.
Oh, okay.
No, we came up with a headphone that had some really cool technology in it that kind of disrupted the world. We ended up kind of keeping it off the radar for a little bit, but
Oh, interesting. So how does your process work? Like, where do you find your source of inspiration? Once you find it, what do you do next? Like, how do you develop these ideas into real physical products?
So, Handy Famm's a little bit different in that sense, but typically if we're working with someone that wants to change something, they'll come to us and we'll go through the process that looks at what the opportunity is
Right.
within that category. We do the research for that. We try to develop whatever that product process is going to be, like I said, the widget or the technology, and then kind of bring it to life from there. Good design, great packaging, and just go to market, how to tell the story. So we've done that with yogurt, done that with cottage cheese, done that with, any slew of things that could kind of tell that story. So Handy Famm was a little different in the sense that, I happened to be just kind of working on something in the house. And I was working with my daughter Ahuva, and she was 12 at the time. And we kind of we needed something from a hardware store, went to the hardware store, started walking up and down the aisles, and we're just kind of looking, and everything seemed to be very generic, just really not standing out as something interesting. So we started kicking around just for fun, like, what if this could be something that's younger demographic and something that's, for her age group, And so we came to the tape measure aisle, and a wall of tape measures, hundreds of not hundreds, but lots of tape measures on the wall.
Yeah.
And either it looked like a cheap item that you would just kind of put it in your drawer and forget about it, or it was a super expensive contractor with laser level and all types of stuff, but nothing had something exciting that you wanted as a younger person to get excited about.
Definitely nothing toyetic, right? Nothing in there.
That's correct. And so at the end of the day, we just kind of started, I took this back to my team, my creative team, and said, listen, there's something that we can hit on here that's exciting. And said, we need to take that step. We need to be the ones that go out there and, change things, shake things up a little bit within this category. And so that started a pipeline, kind of using some of my knowledge of storytelling, character development, that whole world. We kind of started to say, okay, what type of characters would best represent that? And we knew that if we're going to go for a tape measure, it's got to come out of the mouth. The tape measure has to come out of the mouth somehow. It's got to be the mouth. And then we just, through a process of creative, elimination, we realized that we needed something iconic. So the thing that became the iconic shape was the eye shape. And so that became, what we realized was going to be something that we could build on. And, if you have that anchor, if you have that thing that really tells the story, that's the thing that we could build the world out of. I'll bring an example of, I like to think about product and product brand architecture as a horizontal and a vertical kind of thought process. And so what I mean by that is you can have a yogurt, and the yogurt is a plain yogurt, flavor plain yogurt, right? And to build horizontally on that, you would take strawberry, and that would be on that horizontal platform. You would take blueberry, and that would be on the horizontal platform. And so you would have sort of this middle tier that you could bust out and keep growing and growing. How do you tell the story at different levels? And so you would look at, let's say, a kids line. So then we'd start thinking about kids product.
I have to give you a huge high five for the development. I was wondering if you'd heard of the toyetic principles that I'd coined these, so I didn't expect you to have heard of them, but you hit so many of them with like the unique and distinct character personalities, kind of a callback Power Rangers, right? Like every character has their own name and colorway. And then you've got this theme, this like the eye. So at first I was thinking it was like the animal theme, but now talking to you, like, okay, you've got this icon that's going to be your theme that I guess we'll see expand through your other characters. And then I feel the accessories angle is how important of a detail you made this tongue. It has to come out of the mouth. That's like the going to be the fun and the wow factor and the surprise factor, is also because it's a real working tool. It looks like a toy, but it's a real working tool for kids. I didn't even notice the level. It was the eye in the first place till I got the package. That is genius. I just love it. So I have a couple of questions. One, I'm wondering, what made you so confident to invest into creating a product like this for such a narrow space in the market? Was it really that you just looked at, all the tape measures and you just thought, we can make a tape measure and that's it? Or did you think we can make a tape measure, but I see this as being something bigger that we can expand later? What was the point where you thought it was like financially worth it to really dive into something like this?
At the end of the day, you don't know anything. We don't know anything. We just kind of try stuff. But, I had sort of this level of confidence that, there is a market to look at. And we did do some focus groups early on. Actually,
okay.
We took this serious. So
Okay.
we did some focus groups and we had an 87% purchase intent by, basically moms with kids in the demographic that we're talking about, both boys and girls. And so when I saw that and I saw the feedback that they gave, I said, okay, this is definitely something that we should start to experiment. And we did a Kickstarter early on just to kind of see, is there an interest, even not even so much for the money so much, but just even to understand, do people like this? And it was successful. And it got funded.
I didn't know about your Kickstarter. Tell me more.
We did around 10,000. It was
Nice.
just, a number just to kind of show, to help a little bit with some of the tooling charges and just kind of get us, to see if people would be behind us.
Yeah.
And also, to help with some of the early costs.
Yeah.
And ultimately, once we saw that there was some type of interest in it, then I realized that, it's time to really, tool it up, do it right. And we put a lot of time into that. And so it was less about hitting a deadline per se, and more about kind of, getting it right so that, we could launch something. And honestly, getting it right sounds like very perfectionist style. I think that really what people need to do is, get it to a point where it's got all the parameters, it's safe, it's cute, it's lovable, and then get it out to market. And then you could, hear feedback, listen to what people say, and then refine it even more and more and more. And so, so I think that this is not the end even for the bird. I think we're just going to keep learning and get better and better, as we go along.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things I want to comment on. I want you to talk a little bit about that safety feature, especially in the tongue. But first, I have to just comment on the packaging. I don't want to open mine because I just love the package so much. I feel like, it really finishes the little character with the body and it frames him. It's like a frame. It's like a display piece. I don't know if I'll open them, but I think this is
you gotta open them. You gotta use it.
This is some of the best packaging I've seen in a while. I feel like every inch is used and used well. Even the back, how it's telling you how to use it, the angle finder and the measure, it's just so well. Bravo! It's so well designed. It's so neat. I really like it. So aside from that, I did see on your website when you were developing this, you said you did have a concern about a pinch point here. So can you talk through that a little bit? Because safety is always something that scares people off when they're starting their new toy product.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that was really top of mind was the typical tape measure really zips back really fast.
Right.
And we wanted to find a material that, even if that happened, would not be, dangerous to any specific degree. And so we went sort of with that fiberglass, design, something that not only has that satisfactory.
I know.
Yeah. Not only has it satisfactory, kind of feel, but it also is very soft. It's durable. Mm-hmm. It's got sort of that feeling in it. At the end of the day, that is really, making sure that, listen, I don't know if I mentioned it, I have 6 kids.
Oh my goodness.
And I actually have 2 grandchildren. One was just born a month ago.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, you're a young grandpa. Okay. 6 kids. I'm over here trying to decide about one. You're out here having 6. I'm like, 1 kid. I don't know, man. Wow.
Well, they keep me young, and
they do.
And they're definitely my focus groups. They're definitely my focus groups, and now you understand why I need to come up with products that are interesting and exciting.
Yeah. So, okay, cool.
But, we want to make sure that they're not, from the youngest of them to the oldest of them, that there's something that is really safe, and not only safety on, the tape measure piece of it, but just overall, we've had 2 outside be looking over the shoulder of our manufacturing, getting it certified, just other people. I usually used to go 5-6 times a year to the plant itself,
Right.
but because of,
Everything,
obvious problems, that's harder now. But we have people on the ground there kind of delivering outside reports about it. So that's kind of been an important piece because it's a kid thing. You don't want to mess around with that. And as we grow and build our retail strategy, I want to make sure all those things are checked properly.
Did you have any struggle at all in the process of building this product? You have so much experience and this seems relatively simple. Did you guys struggle at all?
I think anyone who says that they took on a project and it was super easy is probably, I don't want to say it. Every process is difficult. Anyone who tells me, yeah, it took me really quick is questionable. I think at the end of the day, we spent, a lot of time refining, listening. There's constant problems at every stage of the process, both from making it to getting, samples, to samples getting lost, during production, to shipping it into a manufacturer, shipping it into a channel, and, the box disappeared. And, what do you do?
What?
So, so these you learn these different things that happen along the way. But
Yeah.
you know what? I feel that these are not challenges. What I found is, because you learn from each of these happenings, let's say, you become smarter, you become better at what you do.
100%.
And it's almost like my Harvard education.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it might cost a couple bucks to learn it, but I don't think it's a negative thing. I think life is a process, and you've got to really go down that path and embrace it, and not be, cranky about it.
Is this isn't your first product that you've completed completely on your own, that you've made and sold yourself, is it? Like, it seems like normally you work with clients, right?
Yeah, so for the most part, we're working with clients on the OffWhite side. The newbie product was wholly owned, and some other sort of custom things have been on our own.
And do you feel like, what was the biggest difference or the biggest thing that you think helped you in the creation of this product that you learned maybe from those other products?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I think it's honestly been the whole spectrum of life, because you learn a whole bunch of different, a whole bunch of different tricks and techniques as you go along that pathway. And that just helps with the whole, experience and makes it easier as you do it. But definitely, understanding story, understanding manufacturing, understanding how to get a product to market, knowing how to, if I want to animate this character, it's built now so that I can do a TV show if I want,
Oh my gosh, that would be so
it's
cute.
built in such a way that it could really has the longevity and the legs to get it done.
So I want to hear a little bit about your success. What has been the success since you launched Handy Famm? I feel like there is some.
Oh, definitely. I mean, honestly, the success is to be able to take something that, I spent an afternoon with my daughter in the store, and taking that piece of it and getting that to not only a real object, but selling it into a real retail environment. I think 3 weeks into our sales, we hit number one measuring product on Amazon.
I saw
and
that.
And we hit number 5 of all tools in the whole Amazon.
Were you doing like pay-per-click?
We were doing very, very light push.
Wow.
It wasn't even fully pushing.
Yeah.
And that was just phenomenal, just to see that energy, and just people we exposed it a little bit just to kind of get it going, but it kind of organically found its footing. And that was amazing to me. So I think, ask me this question in 2-3 years, I think the definition of success will be different. Yeah. But just for me to have a product that is close to heart, and that we're able to really bring it to life and to have a platform and a patent and all these steps that take.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a patent on the eye design and the overall shape, etc. So I don't think you could see it on the bottom, but because you didn't open it yet, you got to open it.
And I'll open one of them. I don't know which one. Maybe the red one. I like red. Okay, go ahead. Oh, it was a little carabiner.
But you could kind of see here at the bottom, we embedded it into the tooling. It's got the
patent number?
The patent information.
Oh, nice. I have to
So
destroy this beautiful package, don't I? So what retailers are you in? You
it's
mentioned
all good.
getting it into retail.
Yeah, I think that strategy is really starting now.
Oh, okay.
We've yeah, so I'll report on that in our follow up in a little bit.
Well,
But
any buyers listening,
yeah,
Handy Famm is ready and waiting to be placed in your stores. I would just love it. Oh my gosh, you got to message me or let me know when it's in Home Depot, because that's such a full circle moment,
yeah,
right? For your little girl who like went there and envisioned it, and then, I mean, yeah, I can't
that's
even
right.
imagine what that would do for me as a kid. Her whole expectation of what she could complete and accomplish in life will probably just explode from having that moment. What do you envision as a future for Handy Famm? Because the way you're talking, you don't think about things as just like one and done product. It seems you're already thinking about like an animation, so I'm guessing you're already thinking about other tools. What can you share about what is coming for Handy Famm?
Yeah, so I think as I talked about sort of that vertical and horizontal, so I think that there are going to be support items for the handy fam. So there will be, bundles and kits that help, really bring it to life for the individual, kid and young at heart, so to speak. I don't think it's only for kids. I think adults who like cool, funky things could also enjoy from it. I would probably buy it as well. So, I think we've developed a story. We have a coloring book that's going to be coming along with it.
Oh, that's so cute. Are they measuring a birdhouse?
So
That's adorable.
so it's yeah, so it's got the different characters. One of the birds' house blew away at night, and they're worried about the scary wolf who's going to come and kind of you know terrorize them at night. And so there's a very dramatic, exciting story for kids to color and get involved with, and then also just kind of building various items like things like you know items like you know matching.
Yeah, matching like gear you wear when you're building around the house. Will there be other tools? I'm curious about that. I want to know, am I going to have like a whole toolkit of Handy Fam supplies?
Yeah, I think that's going to be sort of the vertical
Yeah.
component of it. I want to make sure that we've got like the tape measure component really solid, but underway are other exciting, tools and functions. Obviously, they have to be safe. They have to kind of check all the boxes and make sure, they're not dangerous. And so that's the vetting process that we're going through now to make sure we have the right, assortment. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. I see. In your opinion, I guess in your opinion, the biggest achievement of Handy Fam so far would probably be that Amazon ranking pretty quickly. So I want to move on to some advice that you might have for somebody that might have an idea like yours. I feel like I've pulled some advice from the things you've said, so I want to give a piece that I feel like I already found in what you've said. And it's just that I hope this doesn't sound like diminishing, but I want to say no idea is too small, because I'm sure that somebody else has been in a Home Depot and they've seen how boring the tools are and they've thought, man, these tools are boring. Why don't they make cooler tools? But they think like, that's not a big enough idea. Like that's not a big enough idea for me to do. But it's all about execution, because you made it a big idea. You made it a whole brand and a family and have a story and have a like life. And that actually reminds me of a text a friend of mine sent me earlier today. She sent me like a screenshot where someone had commented that apparently there's this YouTube video on how to unzip a compressed file. And that's like the how-to of the YouTube video. And that video has like 410,000 views. And they're like, whatever your idea is, like post it, make it, build it. People need it, because like a small idea you might think it is, somebody out there needs it. So that's the advice that I'm pulling from this so far. But what specific advice would you give people listening to this podcast?
I think that ideas are great, and having an idea is great, but I think you just have to take that first step and second step and third step to really see if there's, something to it. I think if you do no steps, which is, I think, the problem that most people have, and not that I'm so special or unique, but the fact that I'm willing to take that next step, I think is help me, just try things in life and to success or failure. And failure, there's been many. So
Yeah.
it's not I think people are afraid of that F word. They're afraid of failure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, they've got to, come to the table. So have the idea, and a good litmus test for if you really are passionate about it is, would you spend a certain amount of money to see if your idea is real?
Ooh.
I don't care how you get it. You mortgage your house, ask your parents, take your savings, your petty cash savings that you thought you're going to use for a vacation, whatever it is, put yourself on that first step. I think that really is the litmus test. That is going to prove whether you're legit about what you believe in or not. And, we've invested a lot, we've put in a lot of, there are scary moments, how do you fill an order? There are times where you got to balance a lot. You got to pay tooling all of a sudden, and a shipment's going out, and you got to work it all out. And so having that piece of it, I think, is honestly that's the differentiator.
So
I think it's a combo of what you said and
yeah.
that.
Well, I kind of want to dive into that before I let you go. I want to dive into that one a little bit more, because oftentimes people come on this podcast and they say similar things like, you have to get going. You have to take the first step. A lot of successful people that I've talked to on this show, they just kind of are doers. They get things done. People often ask me, like, how did you build what you've built? And I'm like, I don't know. I just started doing stuff and then I didn't stop. Right. But I don't know. Could you, and maybe I think right now, I want us to think about a time that we wanted to do something, and then for some reason or another, we hesitated and we didn't go forward. And maybe by doing that, if we can vocalize why we did that, we can maybe help people that might be struggling. Because I feel like we're right now coming from the mindset of just do it. We did it. Just do it, right? How can we get ourselves more in the understanding the mindset of people that are stuck for many different reasons? Right? So now I'm thinking...
I think you have to think, you got to think in your zone. Start with what's in your box. Like if you're a dentist, don't start thinking that you're going to start making, spaceships,
Right.
Like you got to stay within in the lens that you are. So it could be that you find something in your world, and let's say it's a toy. Let's say you do want to do something. You see your kids and you want to teach them. It's like, I really wish they would know about teeth, And so you're a dentist, so that business, you get it. And so it's really not a risk anymore, because all you got to do is put more puzzles of stuff around you.
Yes.
That isn't necessarily just like getting yourself into, like, you just walked into a crazy nightclub of like chaos and like, manufacturing. But if you just got to say, oh, I want to make a tooth, and we're going to call him Toothy. And now like Toothy is going to be a plush toy, and Toothy is also going to come with a song. And then you're like, hey, Bob, who's my buddy, he writes cool songs. I'll have him do that thing. And Janet, she sews plush, blankets for people. I'll put, so I think you just have to look in your lens, very, very small, and it becomes less of a scary thing than the bigger you make it and the broader you make it out of your wheelhouse, the unrealistic it becomes. The reason why I could do a Handy Famm is because I'm literally doing the stuff that I know. Right. I'm not that amazing. I just happen to know that, like, how to do cartoons and how to tell a story. And so I happen to have a company that makes awesome packaging for the coolest brands in the world. So so obviously the things that we're going to do are going to look a level up because we just do it. So that's not amazing. It just happens to be that I set up the parameters in my life to just, speak to the stuff I know. So it gives me more flexibility, let's say, because I'm just more exposed more. But anyone could do that. It's not just take the step. It's take the step, the path that is known, and bust it out a little bit out of your comfort zone, and just keep pushing that comfort zone. Push the line of scrimmage,
Yeah, but don't start in like the desert of like where you don't know anything. You got to start like somewhat on a path where that is a really good point, because the different businesses that I've started, they were always something where the core of it was something I either knew really well or was already kind of like doing on a hobby basis. And then I was learning on the side, like all the business stuff, like how to start the business and how to like get clients and that stuff I was figuring out on the side. But the base of the business was like, I love making clothes. I have a ton of sewing machines. I'm going to make a clothing costume company. Or I love toys. I know a lot about toys. I'm going to start a coaching business. It's like focusing on what your passion and your focus is right now, and then adding to it little by little to build this thing or take the steps forward. That's great. Love that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh. That was a good breakdown.
Yeah. It's funny because like when I got into the movie world, I wasn't, I didn't go up the regular path, to get into that. I just kind of snuck into it. And I would hear some terminology from, some technical guy. And then I would go to the next guy and be like, oh, the XYZ, widget, da-da-da-da. And they were like, oh, this guy actually knows his thing. And then I would go back and that guy would tell me something. I go to the next guy and be like, da-da-da-da, plus the other thing. And so, you just kind of build on that. And that's another way to do it. If you're really excited about something, I know someone in my network now who spent many years in the wine industry and the spirits and beverages. And she wants to get into sort of the sustainable world, and understand sustainability more. And so she's taking those steps, those baby steps to kind of get her into that world. It's totally, a deviation. It's sort of a little bit what she did, but now she really wants to be an expert and understand it. And, I give kudos to people like that who take that bold step, but it's not even so bold. It's just another step towards her success.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay, Josh, is there anything actually that you wish I'd asked you about Handy Famm that maybe I missed?
I think you covered it. You're amazing at what you do.
Oh my gosh, stop.
You sucked it out of me in a hopefully a good way. And
Great way.
No, I definitely, I think that it would be great if anyone who's listening to this wants to, get part of the fam, get part of the Handy Famm world, that maybe they kind of drop the Toy Coach name in a DM on Instagram, and it would be handy_famm, FAMM, and just say, hey, heard the podcast, say a note here and there, and my team will get out a little promo code for you to get started.
Little surprise promo code for the Toy Coach. Okay. Don't forget, go to Instagram, follow the Handy Famm, message them, say my name. Well, not my real name, the Toy Coach name. And to close out the episode, Josh, I've got to ask, my favorite question to ask, what toy blew your mind as a kid?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like I said, I'm constantly challenged to be a kid on a daily basis with just my own family. But back in the day, I think what really was exciting for me were the products like Lego and Playmobil. And I think it was less about it blowing my mind of what it was, but I think it started kind of the process for me of storytelling, spending hours myself, thinking of little stories and scenes and vignettes in my weird brain, and starting to kind of get that. I think it blew my parents' mind that I actually sat there for hours and did that activity. But, in terms of that, I think, exposing your kids to anything that, is helpful. Handy Famm is great for STEM learning. It's great for having fun. It's great for your, mom and dads to connect with their kids and find that time, get them off their phones, get kids off their devices. It's a constant plague that we have today, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. And it's creeping to our children as well.
Yeah.
So just finding those activities that, I don't know if it's about blowing a mind. I think it's just about getting them re-anchored, re-exploring and rethinking about, how to redefining fun, in a cool way.
So Lego, we were just watching Lego Masters last night. Are you a fan? Do you watch that show?
No, I'm not. I can't say I'm up to speed.
Oh.
No, I'm not up to speed.
It's got some good builds there.
Maybe I need to after this.
Yeah, I could see the White family maybe being on Lego Masters. That could be pretty cool.
Okay, challenge accepted.
I don't know. Oh my gosh, Josh, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Where else can people listening connect with you? Maybe they want to hire you for your design services or purchase Handy Famm.
Sure. You could email creative@offwhitedesign.com. That would be OFFWHITEDESIGN.com. And obviously you can go to the website, offwhitedesign.com to kind of see some of the stuff that we do over there on that side. And, always available to talk, and anyone needs, some advice, we take care of that. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. It was a pleasure chatting with you today. Well, there you have it, toy people. My interview with Josh White of Handy Famm. I've got to go open my Handy Famm now because Josh was insistent that I open it up, see the patent information. So I've started my unboxing process here. Now, some of the key lessons I want you to take away from this episode are this. Number one, I mentioned as I was closing up with Josh, is no idea is too small. If you see an opportunity in the market and it's something as simple as there aren't enough kid-friendly tools, you got to let yourself explore that idea a little while before you shut it down completely. That's exactly what Josh did. He and his daughter noticed that the tape measures available in Home Depot weren't sparking anything in their creative minds, and they set out to create something new. And when they did, the world responded. Shortly after launching, the Handy Famm Bird Tape Measure series was ranked by Amazon as the #1 new product in its category. How crazy is that? So make sure that you head over to Instagram, check out handy_famm, and make sure that you mention the Toy Coach and that you heard them on this podcast. Now, the second takeaway from this episode is to just get started, but not just get started with any idea. Make sure that the toy or game idea that you're choosing to focus on has some callback to an area of expertise that you already have, whether it's sewing or whether it's science or whether it's dentistry. Whatever you do for your full-time career or your part-time hobby is likely very transferable to some category in the toy industry. And your process developing this toy or game product and making your toy business a real thing is going to be made a lot easier when you have that backing of your existing industry or hobby knowledge behind you. That was a great tip that Josh gave when I pushed him at the end of the episode. So I really want you to take that into consideration. If you're finding yourself struggling to take that step forward, maybe you're just biting off more than you can chew at the moment, and you should try to stay focused on areas that you already know well and how you can apply those areas to the toy industry. Now, if you love this podcast and you haven't already left a review, what are you waiting for? I get a notification on my phone every time a new review comes in, and it puts a huge smile on my face to see that you are appreciating this podcast and all the hard work that goes into it. So if you want to help keep me motivated to keep coming back week after week with amazing guests and solo podcast episodes as well, please, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening, scroll down in your podcast app and please look for where you can leave an amazing review for this show. As always, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I know there are a ton of podcasts out there, so it truly means the world to me that you tune into this one. Until next week, I'll see you later, toy people.
Thanks for listening to Making It in the Toy Industry podcast with Azhelle Wade. Head over to thetoycoach.com for more information, tips, and advice.